Hey, it's Mike with Tech BB, and today we're going to talk about one of the just absolutely nastiest guns that are on the market right now. Probably one of the sickest guns I've ever had a pleasure of shooting out there in the woods, and it's this beast right here, which is the Tiberius Arms T4. I don't even know where to start with this gun. This gun can do everything that you need it to do for scenario games or for woods play. Okay, you've got the with just simply pulling the handle here, you know, you can switch it from magazine fed to hopper fed. So right, you know, with it forward, it's in the magazine fed. Pull it back, and you mount the your feed neck on here. Put your hopper on top here, and you can sit there and be going through the hopper, da, 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 da. And then when you're ready to switch over to the magazine, press the button. You can start shooting first strike rounds. I mean, and on top of that, if you set this up properly, you can also shoot the rocket launcher with the same gun. So you can shoot, you know, and I did this, I wish I got it on film, but I have it. I'm sitting there and I'm shooting with the apex barrel, which, you know, as everybody knows, is probably one of the most devastating things you can use actually in the woods. Sitting there shooting with the apex barrel, pop, 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 pop. I got the apex turned all the way up. Now what I do is, I shut my loader off, and this is pulled back. I shut my loader off, fire off the rest of the rounds, and then if you go to PMP Industries, okay, the grip that's on here is what's called a Lone Star grip. Okay, it's a common grip. They had it on the VM68s and stuff like that. Also, the Metadyne Industries uses Lone Star, and so does the Phantom. Okay, you can get yourself the aluminum Lone Star grip. You can put it on here. You can put a standard custom products ASA on it, and then what you do is you run dual hoses. Okay, you've got one hose going to the magazine, you got one hose going up here to the Metadyne. So you can just imagine you're sitting there shooting the paintballs with the apex barrel. So you're getting the range with that. And then what you do is you shut your loader off so it doesn't feed any more paint. Then what you do is you rotate it down. Then you disconnect the magazine, let the magazine dangle here. Take another one that's got the first strike rounds in it. Pop it in there, dial back the apex so there's no, you know, there's no rubber hitting the first strike rounds. Shoot off all of the first strike rounds, drop that magazine out, put it in your pocket, put your remote line one back into here, and then, you know, pull it back, go back to your hopper, turn your hopper back on again. Now you go back to shooting normal paintballs again. Okay, absolutely devastating. And if you've got the dual remote lines coming up here, the dual lines coming up, you can also shoot your Metadyne at the same time. So you've got a gun here that can shoot first strike rounds, and 5 seconds later shoot regular rounds through the apex barrel, and then 5 seconds later after that you can shoot the Metadyne, or do it almost all at the same time. So you can do all three things at the same exact time. Now the barrel that's on here is threaded at the tip, so if you go and get like a custom products tip, $20 plus you get the rubber apex tip. All you got to do is dial it back. It's got the first strike rounds are going to go right underneath the apex tip, and they're not going to affect it at all. Really badass marker out there in the woods and stuff like that. I mean, there's so much stuff that you can do with this. I mean, this is probably the ultimate paintball gun right now for scenario games. Now, the last time I used this, I just used this at Living Legends with just shooting first strike rounds. I didn't shoot normal paint through it at Living Legends. I just used it for first strike rounds. Gun's got some weight to it. So let me, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna get a magazine here, and I'm gonna put it in here, and I'll leave the apex tip on here, it doesn't matter. We all know how much an apex tip weighs, right? How much is it? Like I don't know, 3-4 ounces? Who knows? Let's set this over here. Get the box out of the way, or the case. And then let's go ahead and weigh it. So actually, I know what I'll do. Let's go ahead and take it apart, and while we bring the camera in a little closer, then we'll weigh it. All right, so let's get started on taking apart the Tiberius Arms T4. Now, before I start this video, I gotta give a shout out to Julian from Modern Intel. I actually watched his video on how to take apart the Tiberius Arms T4, and it was a big help. So definitely, if you're on YouTube, definitely check out Modern Intel. They've got some great videos, review a lot of milsim stuff, based out of Canada. Great guys, great videos. So definitely got to give a thank you to Julian for helping me take this thing apart. That's who I learned how to take it apart from. So hopefully I do this video and I do it proud, or at least I make them proud. So let's go ahead and weigh it. I don't know what this weighs, but it's got to be like MTAC weight. Let's see. Oh, no wonder I was huffing and puffing at Living Legends. Here we go. 6 pounds, 4.8 ounces. So 6 pounds, 4.8 ounces for the Tiberius Arms T4. Now keep in mind, that's without a scope. So yeah, I mean, I knew this gun was heavy. And let's go ahead and take out the, we're gonna remove the magazine first. All right, now I'm gonna actually go a little deeper than Julian did. And I'm gonna show you how to remove the stock in case you wanted to remove the stock. What you're gonna need to get is, for ARs, the real guns, they have a like a stock puller or a stock remover or something like that. You're gonna need to get one of these. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and show you how this works. Just go in there and it just loosens it up. Let me get a place where I can grab it a little better. And let me go ahead and loosen this up. There we go. Just unscrew this a little bit. And then it's got a like an indexing collar on there, so you just want to unscrew that. There we go. And the stock comes off. So basically what you got here is you've got this little sliding, this little piece here, and what that does is it lines up on the back of it like that. Okay, so you can get into the, so that way it'll index the stock so you don't have to worry about your stock twisting when you're out there. And we'll go ahead and put that back together and we'll just stock off. Now what we're going to do is remove the barrel. What you do to remove the barrel is you twist this 45 degrees and then lift it up. You might have to give, push the barrel in just a little bit. Okay, once it comes up, barrel comes out. Now one thing that I really like about the T4 over the T9 was the T9 I had every once in a while I'd have a jamming issue with the barrel. Well, the T4 comes with a barrel. It's like a ring here. It's like a spacer that holds the barrel perfectly in place for the first strike rounds to feed in there perfectly. I think this little indexing ring that they have here, I think they've got one at the front and one in the back, really helps the gun in terms of its feeding reliability, which is important because first strike rounds are not cheap at all. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and pop out the rear pin. There it goes. All right, and then what you do is you pull the safety, put it about pointing back towards the pin, and then it'll slide forward. Now once it slides forward, you just want to tap out the other pin. And sometimes mine for some reason take a little bit more of a tap to get out. So there they go. Push it all the way down, and out comes the lower half here. Now you want to make sure you keep that spring there. You're going to need that. So let's go ahead and set this aside. Now this is a good time too if you need to get inside here and clean it, take it apart. That's a good time to do it right now, is to clean out the mag well. Now usually when you break paint, this is where your mess is going to be at. Let's also go ahead and remove the spring. There we go. So we got the spring out of the way. We'll set that aside. And now what we're going to do is on the O-ring, or on the trigger, there's a little tiny O-ring that holds the pin in place that connects the, I guess it's the regulator to the trigger. And that's a little bit of a pain in the neck to get off. So it's a little tiny O-ring. There it goes. So we'll just set that O-ring aside. And we're going to slide the pin out of the way. And the reason why we need to slide the pin out of the way is so we can get to the Allen key heads here to remove the regulator. Up comes the regulator. Really easy to take apart. And now this little piece that you saw fly out of the back here, this is just a tool. If you wanted to use it, helps you remove the bolt, but I'll just use a regular Allen key to get the bolt out. There we go. And there's the bolt assembly. And we'll set that aside. Now what we'll do is let's go ahead and take apart the regulator. Not much inside here to really take apart, but let's go ahead and do it anyway. Now something I like to do is I like to get a count of about how many threads this thing is turned in. It looks like it's in probably about 7 threads. It's not really that important, but it is going to save you some time at the chronograph. At least you're going to be pretty close to where you were before you took this apart. Okay, so we got the piston in there. Let's get our needle nose pliers. Okay, we got our needle nose pliers. Now we're going to pull the piston out. There we go. Now this is, if you ever need to lube your piston, there it is right there. Now it's important here to remember the orientation of this. You don't want to put this in backwards. Okay. Now let's go ahead and pull out the reg seat. Okay, here it is. And basically it's just a little spring here, and behind the spring there's a little tiny ball bearing. It might take a little bit of coercion to get out. You're going to have to pull out the O-ring here. There you go. And now you've completely taken apart the regulator. So what we're going to do here is let's just go ahead and get just like a little bit of hater sauce on our fingers. This stuff, it doesn't take much of this stuff. It goes a really long way. All right, let's go ahead and drop the BB, or that little bearing, back in there. Let's get a little bit of this hater sauce on this urethane O-ring. There we go. All right, so let's drop this back into place here. And then now let's go ahead and tighten the back part of this. So just throw a little bit of hater sauce here on the on this piston O-ring here. And then we're going to push this all the way down. Make sure it's nice and centered. Yep. And you can kind of tell, you can make sure that it's in place. If you kind of push it down, you'll feel it kind of spring back. And you know you're in the right spot. And now we're going to tighten back up the basically this is the velocity adjusting nut. So, and then we said this is about 7 turns in. 2, 3, 4, about right there is about where it was at before. So cool. So we got that all put together. We just took apart the regulator, probably the hardest part of the gun to take apart. And as always, you don't want to be doing this, you know, at your house, or I mean at the field, trying to take these things apart. These guns you want to take apart at your house, where it's nice and clean. You know, that way if you drop a part or something like that, you know it's going to fall on your rug and it's not going to fall in the dirt. All right, let's go ahead and put a little bit of hater sauce here. Just on the outside of the bolt here, make the spring happy. Get some down in there. It drops down. Let's get some on the O-rings here. And we are pretty close to getting this done. Let me get a paintbrush here and clean out some of the paint residue that I have on the T4. Okay, so let's get a paintbrush here. Get this about nice and cleaned up here. Use a bomb swab. Get through the whole thing. These are great swabs. You ever want to pick up a really good swab, check out bombswabs.com. They make great swabs. I actually knew them back when they were pro swabs. And they made good swabs back then too. All right, now what we'll do is let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and install the bolt. Now there's one really important thing about the bolt is when you go to install the regulator pack back into place, you want to make sure that your bolt is far forward. Very, very important that you slide your bolt forward or it's not going to catch on the sear. So slide it forward and it's going to make life a lot easier when you put this thing back together. So, okay, so let's go ahead and put the screws back in here. Short screw goes in the back near the trigger. Long screw goes up front. Now we'll do the harder screw first, the one in the back. Tighten it down. The one up front, tighten that down. Now remember that little tiny O-ring? Now's a good time to reconnect it. All right, the little tiny O-ring reconnected. Okay, so let's go ahead and install the receiver. Now what we're going to do is we're going to just put in this front pin here to start. Let's go ahead and put our toolkit back into place. Push up the rear pin, put it back on safety. And now what we're going to do is let's go ahead and install our barrel. Now on the barrel there is a groove. As you can see right here, there's a groove that goes down the barrel. You want to put that in, I think it's facing up. Now I did put the spring back in place, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to push it until it's back into place, push that down, and now the barrel is back in place. Not hard at all. Slide the brass bushing back into place. Definitely don't want to put this together without that in there. And we pretty much have the gun almost completely put back together. Now what we're going to do is we're going to install the stock. Okay, so that's where it stops. Now we put the indexer back into place. The locking collar back on it. Tighten it down. Let it go. There it goes. Okay. And we pretty much have got it all put back together. I think I've got a little bit of CO2 left in this cartridge. Let's see if there's any in there. Go ahead and smack this into place. Put it on fire. Let's see if it shoots. And it shoots. No leaks, nothing. So that's about it. We just took apart the Tiberius Arms T4. Now let's go ahead and do our conclusion. Okay, so let's go ahead and wrap up the Tiberius Arms T4. What do I think of it? Let me tell you what. This is the sniper rifle on, of the paintball industry right now. Okay, there's nothing else like it. At Living Legends, I was hitting probably for every about 3 to 4 shots I was taking one person out. So you're gonna, well, my pump gun did the same thing. Really? At 400 feet? No, your pump gun definitely didn't do the same thing. But the T4 is indeed the hunting rifle of the paintball industry right now. It feeds first strike rounds perfect, better than the T9 that I had. It's so quiet and there's no recoil at all. I mean, it's a 6-pound gun. How's it going to be? How's it going to have recoil when it's a 6-pound gun? The fact that you can alternate between hopper fed to magazine fed, and in the course of just a flick of a button. Well, basically the button's right here on the other side of the where the rounds come in. You push this button right here, and you switch from magazine to hopper fed. So I mean, the fact that you can be out there with this thing, if you switch out this Lone Star grip with the one from PMP Industries and run a remote line, and basically once you drop this out, if you just let this dangle here, you can sit here and feed first strike magazines into it, as many as you've got. And then when you're ready to go back to regular paint, stick your remote line one back into the gun and go play. I mean, the possibilities with this thing is endless. It's the only gun on the market right now that can shoot first strike rounds and also shoot a Metadyne, because you can mount a Metadyne right to the bottom of it, rocket launcher, and also shoot regular paintballs through the hopper, and you can go between all of them with less than 10 seconds. Absolutely amazing. I love this gun. Shoots phenomenal. I can't wait for another scenario event to go out there and use it. And let me tell you what, Smarker's not for everybody, but if you're looking for a true treat, okay, something that is just brutally accurate, 100 feet, 150 feet, 150 feet way past the range of a normal paintball. Something that's whisper quiet, has no recoil. Let me tell you what, you'll never have a marker, or a paintball gun that'll make you truly feel like you're hunting human beings more than the Tiberius T4 will. This gun is absolutely devastating out there on the field. Shoots great. It's very consistent. The regulators do a great job. You know, all the new technology that's in this thing feeds first strike rounds great, which is exactly what you need because of the, you know, as expensive as they are. I have noticed there is one problem with it, it's not going to be as efficient as a lot of the, you know, like a pump gun we're used to getting, or like, you know, like a Phantom, we're used to getting 30 shots per 12 ounce, you know, per 12 ounce, or I'm sorry, 12 gram CO2 cartridge. Not going to get that with the T4. Okay, the blow forward design does use a lot of air. You're going to probably get between 15 to 18 shots per 12 gram, and that's it. So, and if you're shooting first, you know, shooting first strike rounds, I would just use one cartridge per magazine and then throw it out. But you know, check out the video. You'll see me, and in that video where I'm hand loading these first strike rounds into the magazine, I'm laying down. So the cover out there is about this tall. You know, I've got 30 people over in front of me. I got about 20 people down in the woods, and I'm basically just laying down like this, feeding first strike rounds into there and watching these people who are like, you know, probably 20 yards away from me just shooting the hell out of my bunker. But every time I popped up, I was taking one person out for about every 3 or 4 shots. And the gun is just that accurate. So if you have any questions on how to sight these guns in, take a look at my sighting in a scope video. If you want to, you know, take a look at another YouTube channel that does a great job explaining Tiberius Arms products, definitely check out Modern Intel. Great YouTube channel. So hopefully that answers some questions on the Tiberius Arms T4. It's not for everybody, but if you've got the money, this gun will definitely make you smile. Thanks for tuning in.